Hey y'all, I don't know what that weird wave of my hair is doing. I need to wash my hair, but it's been one of those days. I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer of wrote for Pathos for nearly 10 years, a column called No Longer Quivering. I'm here drinking my coffee this morning. Why? Because I am shortly to be on my way to the air to pick up my car, not the airport. Hey, Saturn, I'm still waking up here. I'm on my way in just a little bit, Noel. Hey, we bought a Nissan Kicks. It's a little teeny tiny car. Hey, Dances in the Rain, but that's all we need. I felt like I needed to come on here and say a couple of things because of yesterday when I was explaining about Brer Rabbit and why Tar Baby was an insult. A couple things I neglected to say. Hey, yeah, thank you, everybody. This has been a long time coming. This has been 2.5 months. I looked it up yesterday. It's been like over 2 months, but not quite two and a half since our car died in R&R. And that was quite the thing for us because we'd had that car forever, forever, forever. Hey, Carolyn. Hey, Ginger Lee. Hey, Janet. We'd had that car forever. We'd had that Honda CRV. It was 19 years old. Hey, Sandy, we had it probably 10 years before it died. It had been a family car that got passed around the family. We ended up with it. We decided to bring it to Costa Rica. We knew what the history was. We could verify what had been taken care of. Here in Costa Rica, like I said, used cars are a gamble because there are no consumer protections in place. That's why we decided to buy a brand spanking new car for the first time in our marriage. And we've been married 26 years. That's quite a long time. I bought a new car when I was 19. It was a huge disaster. I got a Fiat X19. I was young and stupid. It was a disaster. I had nothing but problems with it. I had to sell it less than a year later because it was so problematic and lost a ton of money. So I wanted to say a few words about yesterday, just real quick before we can talk whatever you want to talk about, be it KJ related or not. I didn't make it clear yesterday. Tar Baby came from the tales of Uncle Remus, which came from African tales. They were told over in Africa. Practically every culture in the world, every indigenous culture has a story like that. American natives have the tar wolf. So everybody has some version of this. So it's not the actual tale that's racist. What's so racist is that racists in America, in the KKK and elsewhere, decided to take the term tar baby and use it as an insult. They decided to use it as an alternate to the N word, right up there with jigaboo and so many other really dumb words that meant negative black person. Okay, I'm throwing that out there because I didn't make it clear yesterday and I confused a lot of people. Yesterday, I went on because I was watching Renelle and I felt bad for her, number one. And number two, I wanted to explain the origins because I'm always fascinated with the origins of these origin stories. When you have the same story being told in every culture, a good example of that is the Noah's Ark tale. The Noah's Ark tale, the Great Flood tale, is in every culture, every culture in the world. So this is one of those ones. It's also in a lot of cultures. So that always makes me happy to think about those things, these tales, and wonder where they came from. Being a child of the 70s, I'll never forget the name of those candles. So many things that we're looking at, Ginger, that back in the 60s and the 70s were no big deal. I mean, look at Disney did Song of the South, and they had to re-release the Song of the South in like 1972, I think it was. Yeah, candies with names like that too. So we still had such racism then that Song of the South was not thought to be problematic, even though now it'd be like, so we grew up in a time that was very different than now. and now is extremely PC. I mean, I get why people do it. I get why it is what it is, but at the same time, sometimes I think it goes a bit too far. Not about this at all, but sometimes it's not good to go back and rewrite history. No, well, it's not. And it's good to look at the historical. I'm looking at my husband, he's just rolling in his motorcycle. It's good to look at the historical foundation sometimes and say, okay, let's look at why this happened. Let's look how this happened. And the whole tar baby remark was by one of KJ's stands. We know that her fan group seems to be older for the most part. Yankee Dude Dandelion. Yep. So that YouTuber troll has really broken Miss Latisha's heart this morning. Okay, I haven't seen that. I just got up. I just got dressed. I'm still drinking my coffee. I haven't even eaten breakfast or taken any of my meds yet. So gingerly spill, because I certainly have not had the chance to go around and look at a damn thing this morning. I just want to come in here and talk for a few minutes before I go pick up my car, because I know the second I leave here to pick up the car, the day is going to be shot. Now, I'm feeling a lot better since I reset my CPAP machine. It was like waking up like night and day. But by yesterday, about 4 o'clock, I was just done again. It was like, falling over, done. So what happened? I'm completely in the dark about anything with her because I don't watch her. I don't pay much attention if it's not on Twitter. I know that she has been making videos with Sherelle. She's heartbroken. Ginger Lee, that is really heartbreaking that she would go after the entire family like that, but especially Latisha. To expose ancient history when this woman is it sounds like she's in the process of losing her son, which I cannot imagine what that pain is like. Lessons lose value when we change the stories. Everyone is so intent on making everything offensive that people are afraid to define woman. It's very bad. Now, well, that's where I'm thinking about. It's like it's crazy. So Miss Latisha, I hope you find your peace. I hope that troll starts leaving them alone. Have you noticed that as the lawsuits get closer and closer and they're not completely thrown out like JJ wanted, that she gets wilder and viler? I felt so bad, Miss Latisha, this morning. Which had her crying over how she's not Vaughn's mother. So sad. Number one fan, that is wrong. I don't care what kind of custody arrangements happened, what happened in the past. I don't care about any of that. A mother's heart is a mother's heart. A mother is going to feel these things no matter how the child's life went down and who raised the child and who did not. The mother is always going to want that child and have love for that child in their heart, unless they're a very cold, nasty individual like some people I could mention. I know it's very sad what she's being put through because it's just completely vile. No mother dealing with that should ever be put through that crap. But it's twice as bad because Latisha is a private person. So is Marvon. None of them are celebrities at all. Now, if they were, I could kind of maybe see KJ talking about them a little bit. But they're average people. I hope Latisha sues her for defamation. That would be the cherry on this whole rancid crazy, because she has put her through hell. And it's just not right. And I want to say a little something about Renelle, too. I wasn't trying to minimize anything Renelle has been through. Yesterday, I didn't take the time to explain. Renelle is from South Africa. And not so long ago in South Africa, there was whites and there was blacks. The whites were the ruling class. They had all the power. Black people were subjugated to them. They weren't slaves, but they were second class citizens that did not have rights, that had to live in the ghetto. So many laws that were in place about that didn't fall until the 1990s, the late 90s, and the early 2000s is when South Africa began to change. I don't know what Renelle has been through as far as living in that society. I cannot imagine that either. But I'm sure it has caused some very deep wounds within her. And that this whole case and the way KJ is acting and the cries of racism have deeply affected Renelle, and um, they brought back wounds from that time. I don't doubt it at all. Vaughn was never in a foster home and a group home. This was agreement with the family. Number one fan, and that is perfectly fine. Families do that. How many families do we know where a grandparent is raising a child because a parent is working or whatever? There's so many circumstances that I don't like to judge why any of this happened. At least she had the wherewithal to place the child with a family member. I have to applaud her for that. So, Miss Latisha, I know you were just doing the best you could for Marvon, and this was no attempt of yours to push off your responsibilities entirely on some stranger, like that witch is trying to say. Pay no attention to her. Pay no attention to KJ. She's some kind of insignificant little mosquito floating around saying these things. She has no experiences with CPS. She has no experiences with any kind of social work or any kind of legal system. This is just her ignorant opinions. Even if the child is in foster care, wouldn't mean the bio parents don't care about their child. I don't think that should matter in this situation. Wind whispers, absolutely not. There are times when CPS removes children from families where the parents do care deeply. They may not have the tools or the resources to adequately parent their child, and they may have to go through training or change your living circumstances. There's so many different reasons why somebody would have children in foster care, but it does not mean the person does not care about their children. From what I heard, KJ was using the term birth mother as some sort of pejorative. Of course, she is a birth mother to someone named Vaughn. Definitely. I think she was saying the egg donor at some point too, which is just very, 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 very wrong on every level. It's just nasty. It's gross. And the sad thing is, if you really wanted to pick apart her life and as much interaction as we see between her and her child, how many times we've seen her on lives tell the child to go away? Many times now. We have to think that she is the egg donor for her Vaughn. Egg donor. So people who live in glass houses definitely should not throw boulders at others, particularly when they don't know what the situation was. Situation could have been any number of things. Not everybody loses their child to foster care because they don't care. Most people care deeply. That's why they fight with CPS and they fight with the court system, and they do what the court system requires to regain custody of the child. Hey, Grace. So if you can do those things, and trust me, CPS does not want your child because foster care is overburdened. So many of the group homes are overburdened. There's not room to place some of these kids sometimes. When I worked at the residential treatment center for children, we had foster kids coming in from the worst circumstances you could imagine. And to a man, almost every parent still cared for the child. Now, not everybody did. I can think of a few circumstances I personally witnessed where someone came in high or drunk or just evil. Now, I did see that. I witnessed that a few times where the parents' high was more important than the child. KJ is doing what I call attacking for the sake of attacking. She's looking for anything to attack her opponent with, no matter what it is. Java Man, I think she's lost. I think she's lost the plot because of all the different lawsuits against her. She's freaking out. She thought that she could use the Marvon situation to gain more and more viewers. Molly Golightly would not agree to her demands to send people to her channel for certain content. Molly Golightly talked about the entire thing, which pretty much took the wind out of KJ's dollar sales. And that's what this boils down to. Dollar, 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 hollering for $1, just like she's honey boo boo at her. So, Grace, me too. It's a broken system, but some kids get genuinely need it. Exactly, Grace. Exactly. Exactly. And it's the only system we got right now. Could it be improved? Oh, heck yeah. It could easily be improved. Every day you hear about a social work system where something goes wrong. Anybody working in that system knows how overburdened the workers are. There's not enough workers. There's not enough beds. It's just the reality of it. That's what blows my mind in Fundy Town, where everybody says, don't cooperate with CPS. Don't even let them in the front door. CPS is not looking to snatch every child in the world. They're not. Angela Barnett, I think that it makes it easier for KJ to attack Miss Latisha because she is black. I think KJ is the racist one here, even though she's trying to claim everyone else is the racist and not her. Oh, Ginger Lee, you too? Holla, we should follow former CPA, former social workers network. She has no idea what family is, what being a family involves, or what a heart is. She's pure evil. She could be. It's about family preservation. In the States, it is too, Ginger Lee, because there's just not beds. Room for improvement, and agreed is completely overworked and underfunded. And yes, we don't want to be taking children any more than you want children to be taken. I think that the catalyst was disagreeing, but I think the fact that she's black does play into it. Because all we have to do is look at her husband and his approval of Mein Kampf. He gave it a 4-star review. He wasn't horrified by it like most thinking people are when they read it. He said he loved it. I believe it was. There are several books on their bookshelf. One of the times the bookshelf was shown books by people who have problematic racist history. He is involved with people, an organization that does have some troubling links to the European preservation movements that actually are racist. So I think there may be some racism there, maybe unconscious bias, because so many of us have racist holdovers from how we were raised. Maybe it's conscious. Oh, Java Man, you're naughty. I wonder if he's going to make a special guitar to commemorate it. More like put a special kit guitar together. Maybe. Grace Peter, she really has said and done a lot of racist things through the years. She has gone after black families a lot harder than white and people of color. She just got a hard on for that, I think. And she can claim all day she isn't. I've not seen any evidence that she isn't. I just see evidence that she is by some of the things that are said. She's living in white bread, Minnesota. Do you know what the diversity rate is in Minnesota? It's very low compared to a lot of places. I grew up in the New Orleans area. We have a pretty healthy black population down there. And it just blows my mind. Some of the things that she said about race. It's not being race. It's not race. It's not race. It's not race. It's this, it's that, the other thing. It's the fact that she got found out and she won't be able to make money anymore off Latisha and her family. That is the real issue. But there may be racism underlying that. Yeah, I'm sure it is higher than North Dakota. North Dakota doesn't have a very high rate of it, I don't think. The farther north, less, unless it's someplace like Chicago, which saw a great migration from Mississippi and places farther south. Manitoba. Manitoba. I was just reading a crazy book that took place near Manitoba that I'm going to have to talk about because it made me laugh so hard. It took place in the 60s, about not racism, but mothers that will do anything to be social climbers. That was an interesting book taking place in the 1960s. So I'm going to have to talk about that. Every now and then I'll read a book from a time frame that I'm familiar with, just to see how things have changed. And Mildred Pierce was full of sex. I was really surprised, as much sex as Valley of the Dolls, which I expected to be full of sex. But Mildred Pierce? I don't remember the name, Grace Peters. It's written by a woman, the last name of McDonald. It was about a small town, I think north of Manitoba, a very small town where they hit oil. Everybody had money, and then the women started social climbing. It was pretty interesting. It was about how everybody neglected their children to social climb. Wow, that's not many, Java Man. Not many at all. So my husband's here. We're going to go pick up our car. I just want to jump on here and talk a little bit about yesterday, and also to talk a little bit more about this whole racism thing with her, because this is one of the boogeymen, the straw men that KJ brings out whenever she gets caught. Yes, Gingerly, Anne Marie McDonald. It was a very controversial book, is what I'm reading, that people didn't like it. And I am finding it very interesting. I don't even know how I stumbled across it, but there it is. And I'm reading it right now. The boy Hank has written this book about the hypocrisy of the town, and everybody's losing their damn mind. So it's an interesting book. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and go. He's here. I don't want to slow him down. I need to take my drugs and eat before I go anywhere this morning. But I'm excited. I'm on my way back with a electric blue, cobalt blue, little teeny tiny crossover, which is what we need. Fall on your knees. I'm going to have to read that one. Yeah, I'm going to have to read that one. I have just recently discovered her book, so yeah, very interesting stuff. Unlike the pile of thrillers I recently read that were awful, and I figured out the twist way before the end. Okay, you guys, I'm going for sure this time. Love you.